Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a story about a city that was absolutely gripped by fear, a decades-long hunt for a killer, and a stunning scientific breakthrough that's now, believe it or not, rewriting history and solving cases that everyone thought were unsolvable.
That powerful question comes from a victim's brother, and it just gets right to the heart of our story. What happens when justice takes a quarter century? This is a story about a long, painful search for answers, a search that starts with an unimaginable amount of loss.
So, let's set the scene. It's the winter of 1997. A quiet, creeping fear was spreading through the city of Spokane as a growing number of vulnerable women just vanished from the streets.
Then, on December 26th, that fear got a name, and it came with a horrifyingly specific signature. The discovery of these two victims, just dumped in this desolate gravel pit, it confirmed the police's absolute worst fears. This wasn't a series of unrelated disappearances. No, they were hunting a serial killer.
Now, what's really important to understand here is the killer's chillingly consistent method. This wasn't random violence, it was a ritual. The specific handgun, the plastic bags tied over the victims' heads, and the remote dumping grounds, it all pointed to a single, organized predator.
So, with this clear pattern established, a special task force was formed. Their mission was simple, but seemed impossible. Hunt a predator who was hiding in plain sight, preying on the city's most vulnerable people. And this really shows you the terrifying pace of the killings. In just over a year, all these women were found, and many of them were from the same area of Spokane. The police were in a race against time, but the killer, he remained a ghost.
The sheer scale of this investigation was massive, spanning multiple counties. The killer seemed to move like a phantom, and a lot of people in the community, especially the most vulnerable, were just too afraid of both the killer and the police to come forward.
So how did they finally get him? Well, after years of dead ends, the break didn't come from some brilliant deduction. It came from a simple mistake and a huge, huge stroke of luck.
The key was a car, a vehicle that had slipped right through the cracks of the entire investigation.
Okay, so get this. A witness reported seeing a victim in a white Corvette. Incredibly, police had actually stopped Robert Yates in his white Corvette, but a simple clerical error on the report, it logged the car as a Camaro. This one tiny mistake buried the lead for months, and the killings continued.
Detectives finally caught that error, and they tracked down the Corvette. Yates had already sold it, but inside, under the passenger seat, they found a tiny piece of evidence that would blow the case wide open.
That button? It was a perfect match for one missing from the blouse of 16-year-old victim Jennifer Joseph. You combine that with her DNA that they also found in the car, they had their man. On April 18, 2000, police arrested Robert Lee Yates Jr.
So who was this man responsible for so much terror? Well, the answer was deeply unsettling.
On the surface, Yates was the picture of a model citizen, a decorated Army pilot, a father of 5. But underneath that respectable facade was an absolute monster. His secret life, as you can see, was one of murder, rape, and necrophilia.
His own daughter's words at his sentencing, they just highlight this devastating chasm between the man his family thought they knew and the monster he truly was.
So with Yates in custody, the long and complicated legal battle began, a process that would stretch on for nearly 2 decades.
To avoid the death penalty in Spokane, Yates pleaded guilty to 13 murders. But prosecutors in a neighboring county pursued a separate death sentence for 2 murders there, and they won. For 16 years, he sat on death row until Washington's Supreme Court abolished the death penalty in 2018, commuting a sentence to life without parole.
But the story doesn't end in 2018, not even close. Because what has happened since has fundamentally changed our ability to solve the mysteries of the past.
This is where our story takes its final, fascinating turn. For years, everybody assumed Yates was the only killer stalking Spokane. They were wrong. And the truth would only come out 2 decades later. The breakthrough comes from a new tool called forensic genetic genealogy, or FGG. Instead of needing a direct DNA match, FGG uses public genealogy websites to find a suspect's distant relatives. We're talking a second, third, or even fourth cousin, and then builds a family tree right back to the killer.
So here's the crucial point. The DNA technology that caught Yates in 2000 was like a specific key for a specific lock. It needed a perfect match to the criminal database, CODIS. If there was no match, the trail went cold. But FGG, it's like a master keymaker. It can build the key from scratch using just the faintest genetic echo of a distant relative.
And this is why it matters. In 2022, FGG solved the 1997 murder of Margaret Ann Selmo. It identified a man named Brian Anderson, a man who was never even a suspect. The chilling conclusion: Robert Yates was not the only monster stalking Spokane during that time.
This revolution in forensic science proves that the past is never truly settled, and it leaves us with a powerful question. For countless families still waiting for answers, is justice no longer a distant hope, but just one DNA profile away?